Chosen one. If you've ever whispered to God and asked, "Why does this feel so intense?" If you've felt pressure where others felt freedom. If your life seems weighted with responsibility, expectation, and unseen resistance. This message is for you. Because God's hand is heavy on you. Not because He is displeased. Not because you failed. But because your assignment is heavy. There are callings that can be carried casually. And then there are callings that require weight to shape the carrier. You were never meant to live lightly. You were meant to live anchored. Take a breath. Lean in. Receive this slowly. Many people misunderstand the heaviness of God. They assume that if something feels weighty, it must be punishment. But divine weight is not condemnation. It is consecration. God's hand rests heavy on those He cannot afford to let drift. Light lives drift easily. Heavy lives stay grounded. That pressure you feel? It's not God pressing you down. It's God holding you steady. If He lifted His hand completely, you might float into distraction, ego, or destruction. So He keeps His hand firm. Not crushing. Covering. You've noticed it, haven't you? Situations that break others shaped you. Responsibilities that overwhelm others matured you. Silence that would crush many refined you. That's because you were built with spiritual density. You don't carry things superficially. You carry them deeply. God doesn't place heavy assignments on fragile structures. He places them on reinforced ones. Even when you didn't know how strong you were. He did. You tried to rest. You tried to step back. You tried to live smaller. But something always pulled you back to purpose. That's because heavy assignments don't release their carriers easily. You are not allowed to disappear. You are not allowed to numb yourself. You are not allowed to live distracted. God keeps waking you up, not to torment you, but because timing matters. Some assignments carry eternal consequence. And heaven does not treat those lightly. Have you noticed how sensitive you've become? You feel shifts before they happen. You sense intentions before words are spoken. You can't ignore what others overlook. That's not anxiety. That's discernment under pressure. Weight sharpens perception. God presses responsibility into your spirit so your senses stay alert. So you don't make casual choices with serious impact. This is why you can't just go with the flow. Your flow carries consequences. Chosen one. There are some things God protects people from. And then there are some things God allows people to see. You were one of the ones He allowed to see. Not because you were strong enough to endure pain casually, but because your assignment could not survive innocence without wisdom. Naivety is beautiful, but naivety is unguarded. And what you carry cannot be left unguarded. You noticed it, didn't you? You saw betrayal before you even knew the word for it. You felt disappointment before you learned how to name it. You sensed dishonesty before others recognized patterns. While others were still trusting blindly. You were already learning discernment through experience. That wasn't life being unfair. That was God training your perception early. Because later, your assignment would place you around people who smile while plotting, who praise while positioning, who applaud while extracting. God did not want you learning discernment too late. There are people God hides from pain, and there are people God prepares for pressure. If God had fully shielded you, you would have entered your calling with a soft lens. Believing intentions are always pure. Assuming loyalty is automatic. Thinking love never disguises itself. And that would have cost you everything. So God allowed you to see human complexity early. Not to make you cynical, but to make you clear-eyed. This is important. God never intended to harden you. He allowed illusions to fall apart, so your heart could remain pure without being unprotected. That's why, even after betrayal, you didn't become cruel. Even after disappointment, you didn't become closed. Even after loss, you didn't become numb. Instead, you became aware. That balance is rare, and it was cultivated intentionally. Some people learn discernment after they've lost everything. Some learn boundaries after irreversible damage. Some learn wisdom after public failure. But you learned in private. You learned quietly, painfully, early. God taught you lessons in seasons where no one was watching, so you wouldn't have to learn them when everything was on the line. Your early pain was protective education. You noticed how you couldn't stay careless for long. Even in joy, part of you stayed observant. Even in love, part of you stayed discerning. Even in hope, part of you stayed anchored. That's not fear. That's responsibility. Heavy assignments require carriers who notice subtle shifts. God couldn't afford for you to be easily impressed, easily persuaded, or easily misled. So He sharpened your awareness before your influence expanded. Words don't fool you easily anymore. Energy doesn't lie to you. Patterns speak louder than promises. That's not accidental. Your future requires you to detect misalignment without accusation, sense danger without panic, recognize truth without needing proof. Naivety would have silenced that ability. So God allowed contrast, truth and deception, love and manipulation, honor and betrayal, so you could tell the difference without explanation. God values trust, but He values discerned trust even more. Blind trust hands power away. Discerned trust assigns power wisely. Your trust was tested so it could become intentional, not automatic. Now you don't trust because someone is close. You trust because they are consistent. You don't trust because someone speaks well. You trust because they act aligned. That protects not just you, but everyone connected to your assignment. Here's the truth many miss. God didn't take your innocence. He refined it. You still believe. You still hope. You still love. But now, you love with wisdom, believe with awareness, and hope with grounding. That combination is not common. And it's exactly what your calling requires. It's because the responsibility would arrive early too. If you ever wondered why joy matured quickly into depth, it's because surface-level living could not sustain your purpose. If you ever wondered why God didn't let you stay naive, it's because your assignment needed eyes that see clearly and a heart that stays clean. You didn't lose your innocence. You gained wisdom without bitterness. You weren't damaged early. You were prepared deeply. And one day, you will realize, the very awareness that once felt heavy is the reason you will stand steady when others cannot. Sit with this. Let it settle. You were never behind. You were being equipped. Chosen one. There is something you must understand about the heaviness you feel. It is not only pressure. It is protection. God's hand does not rest heavy to harm you. It rests heavy to cover you. What feels like limitation is often containment for safety. There were moments you felt held back. Moments when life slowed unexpectedly. Moments when opportunities disappeared without explanation. You thought God was withholding, but He was intervening. If He had let you move freely in those seasons, you would have walked straight into environments your spirit was not meant to survive. So He placed His hand firmly over your life, not to trap you, but to redirect you away from unseen harm. Some doors never opened because they were decorated traps. They looked right. They felt exciting. They promised growth. But behind them was compromise, erosion of integrity, spiritual exhaustion, identity dilution. God's heavy hand blocked those doors quietly. No drama. No explanation. Just closure. Later you realize, if I had gone through that door, I would have lost myself. There are people who love your presence, but cannot honor your purpose. They enjoy your light, but resent your responsibility. God removed some connections not because they were evil, but because they were misaligned. Their closeness would have eventually drained you, delayed you, distorted your clarity. The heavy hand protected your inner world, even when it broke your heart temporarily. You don't know how many things never reached you, how many accidents missed you, how many betrayals failed, how many plans collapsed before forming. God's hand intercepted what you never saw. Some attacks were neutralized before intention became action. Some dangers dissolved before you sensed threat. You thought nothing happened. But heaven was busy on your behalf. You often felt watched, observed, marked. That's because you are. When God's hand rests heavy, it marks you as untouchable without permission. You couldn't blend into toxic systems. You couldn't thrive in corrupt spaces. You couldn't stay comfortable where truth was compromised. Not because you were weak, but because you were protected from contamination. Here's a truth that may surprise you. The heaviness saved you from becoming someone you wouldn't recognize. If life had been easier, if access had been quicker, if influence had come earlier, you might have succeeded before you were safeguarded. The pressure forced reflection. The restraint forced humility. The delay forced alignment. God protected not only your future, but your character. Others escaped accountability. Others walked away from responsibility. Others disappeared when things got heavy. But you couldn't. Every time you tried to run, something pulled you back. That wasn't guilt. That was divine grip. God wouldn't let you abandon what would later protect you. The assignment was covering you, even while it was still forming. Protection rarely feels comfortable. A shield adds weight. Armor restricts movement. Covering limits exposure. But it keeps you alive. God valued your survival more than your comfort. Your preservation more than your popularity. Your longevity more than your ease. Some people experience God as gentleness. You experienced Him as guardianship. That doesn't mean you were unloved. It means you were valuable. Highly protected things are rarely left unattended. The heavier the calling, the stronger the protection. Chosen one. God didn't restrain you to frustrate you. He restrained you to keep you intact. You were not delayed. You were defended. You were not blocked. You were covered. And one day, when you stand where you are meant to stand, you will realize the heavy hand that once felt restrictive was the shield that ensured you arrived whole. Sit with this. Let it sink deep. You are still here because heaven guarded you carefully. You've noticed that even among spiritual people, you feel different. Others celebrate loudly. You carry quietly. Others move freely. You move carefully. Others speak often. You speak precisely. That's because not all chosen people carry the same weight class. Some are called to inspire. Some are called to build. Some are called to protect. You were entrusted with structural responsibility. If you fail, others feel it. If you succeed, generations benefit. The delay you feel is not stagnation. It's reinforcement. Heavy assignments require reinforced timing, reinforced character, reinforced obedience. God is not asking, "Are you talented?" He is asking, "Are you stable?" Speed without strength collapses. Promotion without grounding destroys. So God waits, and strengthens, and presses. You don't rest like others. Even in stillness, your spirit remains alert. Even in silence, your heart listens. That's because your rest is strategic, not escapist. God allows you to rest, but not to disengage. Your spirit stays connected because the assignment remains active. Here's the promise you need to hear. The heaviness is seasonal, not eternal. There will come a moment when the weight shifts from pressure to authority. What feels heavy now will feel steady later. What feels intense now will feel natural later. The hand that presses today will release power tomorrow. Chosen one. Don't rush away from this moment. This is not information to consume. This is truth to rest inside. You have carried questions for a long time. Questions you didn't always know how to voice. Questions like, why does my life feel heavier than others? Why couldn't I take the easy road? Why did God trust me with pressure instead of relief? Now you know. The weight was never punishment. It was placement. Take a breath right here. Not the shallow kind. The kind that reaches places in you that have been holding on for years. Let your shoulders drop. Let your spirit unclench. You don't have to prove anything in this moment. You don't have to carry anyone else right now. Just receive. You were not overlooked. You were observed carefully. You were not delayed. You were secured. You were not abandoned in the pressure. You were held firmly by a faithful hand. God never left you alone with the weight. He carried it with you, even when you didn't feel Him. Some of what you survived was never meant to be understood in the season it happened. It only makes sense now. Because now you have the language for it. Now you can look back and say, "That didn't break me. It built me." You don't need to harden to survive what's coming. You don't need to shrink to stay safe. You don't need to rush to be validated. Everything you need has already been formed within you. The strength, the discernment, the steadiness, the compassion that didn't turn bitter. That didn't happen by accident. Listen closely. The same hand that pressed you will be the hand that positions you. The same weight that trained you will become the authority that steadies you. The same seasons that felt silent will one day speak for you, without you having to explain a thing. You are not late. You are not lacking. You are not fragile. You are ready in ways that cannot be rushed. So tonight, or today, wherever you are, release the need to understand everything at once. Let peace take its place before clarity. Let trust come before answers. God is not finished. He is precise. And His hand, though it felt heavy, was always loving, deliberate, and protective. Stay still for a moment longer. This is not the end. This is alignment. Receive this slowly. If this video touched your heart, and you feel guided, please like this video. And you can support the channel through the link in the channel's bio. Even your $1 is very precious for me and this channel. Your kindness helps us continue spreading light and love. God bless you.